Welcome. My name is George Pearson and I run the How To Gurus channel here on YouTube. Most of the videos in my channel are short demonstrations of the different tools and techniques you'll find in various software programs. Right now I have several hundred of these quick videos available on YouTube. This video though is different. This is part of a new series of longer demonstrations that I'm doing to show you how to complete complex projects from start to finish using a variety of techniques and tools. All of the images I use in these projects are in the public domain, and I've included a link to the pictures in the video description in case you want to work along using the same images. Okay, let's move on to the project. In this special Photoshop Elements video training, we're going to look at putting text into a circle, as you can see here. Now there are a couple of ways of putting text into a circle. We'll be using one way for the top text. This is the easy way to do it. And what this does is it gives you text that has the bottom of the text inside and the top of the text towards the outside. The bottom here is reverse of that. The top of the text is towards the inside and the bottom is towards the outside. That's more difficult to do. So I'll show you both techniques and why we have that limitation inside of Photoshop Elements. But first, let's take a quick look over here at the right hand side. Ignore layer 1, that was just a test layer I was doing. But layer 2, that has the orange on it, as you can see right there. Layer 3 is the bottom text, so that text is on its own layer for the bottom text and its own layer for the top text. And again, we're doing that because we're handling these in two different ways. Then we have an orange circle in here. Now it's a full circle. If I hide that orange, you can see it's a complete circle in there. And then of course a white circle in the background. Alright, and there's our circle text. Let's go ahead and we'll start the process here. The first thing I want to do is make a new file. I'll make it at the same size as this one so all the settings stay the same. So the easy way to do that is to select your whole file, File, All, and then copy that, Edit, Copy right there. What that does is it copies the size of the image and retains that in the clipboard. Let's now deselect that and get that out of the way. There's that orange. We'll get back to that orange in a little bit. If we go up here to File, New, Blank File, you'll see one of our preset options here is Clipboard. And that clipboard is automatically filled in with the settings that you just copied from the other file. So it's an easy way to match the size of files. Choose OK. There it is. Now it's smaller because I haven't zoomed in yet, so let's just pull this out a bit here and we'll zoom in a couple of notches. There we go. We want a black background, so let's make sure that our foreground color is set to black. We'll be using the paint bucket right there, and that's set for paint. Window, color swatches, and there's black, so we'll just set that as black. Paint bucket, click in there, and that gives us our black background. Now we also want to find the center point in here. We can do that easily enough. Just grab your guidelines and pull those down until it snaps into place. There we go, that's one. Or pull from this side until it snaps into place. And that's the other one. Now, if you don't have guidelines, if you're working with an earlier version of Photoshop Elements that doesn't allow you to create guidelines, you can still do that if you happen to know the size of your image. This happens to be 6 inches wide by 4 inches tall. So half of that is 2 by 3. So I can easily find my center point again just by making a image that's 2 by 3. Let me show you how you do that. File, New, Blank File. Let's set this up for inches. I want width at 3, height at 2, so 3 by 2. There it is. I can then grab this layer, drag it over here, and you can see there's my layer. That's a 3 inch by 2 inch rectangle. If I put that up in the upper left hand corner, the bottom right corner is my center. So if you know your dimensions, just divide those in half, create a shape at that size, and that will pinpoint that center point for you. Okay, don't need to have that layer any longer. We'll get rid of that one. Now that we have this, we're going to be putting in our circles. Our first circle is white, and we'll be using the ellipse tool over here with a few options. Let's just get this out of the way, and we no longer need that one. So we want this set for circle. Gives us an exact circle and drawn from the center right there. And I want to have this one in white, so click on this little image here and go to white. Okay, I can now come in here, come onto that center point, and pull off from that center point, and that gives me a circle, exact circle drawn from the center. That's our white circle. So there we go. Now let's make a new layer above this layer, and we'll do another circle on top of this layer here, and let's just choose a bright color. I'll use this one right there. It's a pure yellow orange. We'll use that color. And let's go over here. Now it should be showing automatically. There it is. If it doesn't, you can also select it from here as well. Now here's all of your colors, so you can choose that. That's right down there. So you can, select that either way. It doesn't matter. Make sure that our settings have remained the same, that nothing has changed on us in here, and then go back to the center and pull a new circle out, leaving a little thin white outline. So there's our second circle. Okay, so far so good. That gives us our basics. Now I want to put some text in here, and I want to have the text in a circle, and we can do that. You can actually put text onto a circular shape like we have here. If you actually draw a shape, you can put text onto the outside of that shape. But there are a couple things we need to know. We need to know what size our text is, and also what size that circle has to be. So let me show you how to approach that little question. Let's go over here to the text tool and grab the type horizontal. Let's set our type to white. And the type I'm using is called Bauhaus 93 regular. If you don't happen to have that typeface, if you like that typeface, just go on the internet and do a search for Bauhaus 93 font, and you'll find that as a download. And I have this set for regular 30 points, and we're going to want to have our type centered right there. Now the first thing you want to do is just to figure your sizes out. So I'm just going to put text over here, and let's call that test type, and make sure your layer is above your orange. There we go. And I'll use this for positioning. So I'm looking at just the T right there. I'll just use my cursor keys to adjust that a bit. I want about that much space above the T, and coming down about that far below. So that lets me know that a circle that's about that big will be about right for the type. We can modify and adjust a little bit afterwards, but that'll be about the right size for that. So let's make a new circle. Let's just lock that one so it's not going to be getting in our way. Go back to our ellipse, and let's grab another type color in here. I'm going to come down a little bit, see what else we have. There's kind of a nice brown. Let me make sure I'm on a new layer. There we go, new layer. There's our brown typeface, our brown color rather. Okay, and we're on our circle from center. All that looks good. Again, grab the very center, pull out, and pull it out until it's just a little bit inside of your type up there. That'll be about where the bottom of your type is going to be. So that gives us our positioning for that text. So we use this top type just to kind of visualize where the type needs to be. We no longer need that. I'll stick that over there and hide that layer. That's, again, no longer needed. Now we can put text on this circle. Here's the kind of fun part. Go back to our type tool, and let's check things out. Okay, we have color is white. That's correct. Centered. That's correct. Come down here to the text on path tool, and now notice how as I roll over that line there, I get kind of a funny looking little cursor. That's my text on a path. Now actually let me draw on the outside, or put type on the outside of the path. You can actually see that from the regular type tool as well. You see here the insertion point is a circle around it. That's going to be putting type inside of a shape. If I'm just on that line, notice how that cursor changes to that one with a little squiggly line. That's the type on a path tool. If I come out further, I then get the cursor in that rectangle. So I can place my type on this path. And we have it centered, so I want to start right at the very center. So I'll just find that center point, click there, and let's begin. Go ahead and we'll type in our text. Notice how the type is following the shape of that circle. It's actually following around the outside. Now I can't put this on the inside, I can only put it on the outside. And that gives me one minor problem here, and you'll see that in just a second. You see what happened there? The text is upside down at the bottom. It's also the wrong size. Let me bring my size down a little bit here. We're at 30 points. Let's make this 28, maybe 29. That's closer. Okay. So you can easily make text that goes in a circular shape this way. Just bring your text outside of your path. It'll actually follow along any path that you make, and you can even modify the shape of that path using the tools. Click over here, we have a draw. You can actually draw a path, any path you want, and then modify that path. So you can put in a real custom shaped path. We're just using it on a standard circle. But I can't put the text inside of the circle or have it the other way around so that the bottom text reads correctly. That's one problem with this technique. I can do a real nice circle, but I can't put the bottom text reading the other way. I can't flip it upside down and still have it around that. It only draws it in one direction here. So we need to modify this for our bottom bit of text. And let's see how that's done. First I'll grab the type tool, and let me just come back here, and I'm just going to delete that second half of the text. There we go, leaving real California oranges across the top. Now we're using this brown circle again. This is just a placement circle, so don't worry about that. That's just to find our shape in here. So we need to have our text on the bottom now, but facing the other direction. And there is a way to kind of fake that. It's not a perfect way, as we have on our top text here. That's perfect. The bottom one, we're going to have to kind of fake it a little bit, but you can fake it pretty well. Let's just put a lock on that layer so that doesn't cause us any problems. Let's come back to our type tool, and everything stays the same color. You want to have the horizontal type selected, and I'll just type in down here my bottom type. From the Golden State, just like that. Okay, there's my bottom type. Now the type is the right direction, but it's not curving around. So we need to warp the type to curve around that circle. And this will take a little bit of eyeballing to get this exactly right. This is where the kind of faking it or fudging it comes in. So click into this type, and we're on the type tool, as you can see. And down here in the type options, we have the warped text. Click on that, and that brings up the warp text dialog box. So here we can actually choose arc, and you can see how it warps the text into a curve. You can control the amount of the arc right here from this bend option. If I go the other direction and pull that up, you can see how it bends it the other way. If you go clear to the end, it bends that clear around almost into a circle. Not quite, but almost. It's pretty close. And we can do little distortions in here if you want to. A little vertical will help to bring that a little back into the right view. Again, I'm doing this kind of fudging it to get it just exactly right. So the text now looks good, but the size is wrong. But that's okay. We can handle that. Choose OK, and I'll choose OK here. So our text is the right direction that we want, but it's the wrong size. But as we know, it's easy to adjust sizes here inside of Elements. I can just pull these sides in and change the size of my type just by moving this around until I get just the size that I want. So this is the part where I'm talking about having to fake it a little bit. To get just the right look, it's going to take a little bit of just kind of freehanding it in here. But that's pretty close. It's maybe a little too large. I'll come down just a little bit. Again, it's just a kind of a visual thing to get exactly the right position here. And that gives you your bottom text going the right direction. So again, it's a little tricky to get that proper curve happening on that by using the type warp. But you have to begin with straight type to get that type warp. I can get a little closer if I wanted to spend the time in here, just kind of, you know, fudge around a bit on this to get it exactly right. I'm not going to waste the time here on this video getting it perfect, but you see the technique, and it's just a question of just fine-tuning that position to get it exactly right. Okay, now we can hide that circle in the background. Pull this up just a little bit so it looks a bit better. So far, so good. Now we have that orange thing to work with. So I want to have another circle in here, and we're going to put that on top of all these circles, and I want it, you know, further inside from my text. So let's go back to our ellipse in here. It doesn't matter what color you have this set at. I'll leave it at brown, that's fine. And then let's just pull in a circle here. This is going to be holding that orange. So we'll be putting the orange inside of that. Okay, that looks good. Now we need our orange picture. Let me bring that orange picture back up again. There it is. I'll just drag that over. And you can see it's too large, so let's bring the size down on this. Let me find the upper corner. There it is. Image transform, free transform. Hold the shift key down so that you transform this directly, and I'm going to get the right size here. You'll make the orange a little more round, I think. Somewhere in there we can adjust the transparency on this. There we are. So now I can, on the wrong layer, back on our orange layer again. I think I'll need to lock that text layer so it doesn't do that. There we go. So now I can come in and actually adjust the size of my orange till it's exactly the size that I want. Now it looks pretty good. Let's bring the opacity back up again. Now I want to have the orange inside of that circle. And we can do that with a clipping mask. You can right click over here and choose Create Clipping Mask. And it puts the orange inside of that circle, just like that. I can still move it around, as you can see here, so I can, you know, fine-tune the position, even use my cursor keys to fine-tune that position. There we are. Let's hide these guidelines at this point. I don't need to be seeing those guides any longer. There we go. So there is that. Again, I could mess around a little bit with this bottom line to get that text exactly lined up, but you've seen the technique on that one. The final thing I want to do is I want to put a stroke on this. Just put a little white line around this. And we'll go up here to layer style settings. Let's do a stroke, and I want the stroke inside. We can adjust the size of that. There we go. And let's change that color up to white. And okay, so there is that logo. Now if you want to go a little fancier, we can put some effects on our text in here. You should do a layer style on this one as well. Let's just do a drop shadow on these. Layer style, style settings, little drop shadow on that one. Just help separate that. And we'll do the same thing on our bottom curve text. Layer style. Oh, have it locked me, unlock that layer. There we go. layer style, style settings, and put that drop shadow in again. And OK. So there it is. That is putting text into a circular path. Again, if you don't mind the text being upside down across the bottom, that's easy. Just put your text on that path and let it go clear around. Then you have a perfect circle. If you want to have your text the right way up, you'll have to do that trick of actually warping the text into that bottom curve. Okay, but there it is. That is how you do that, the text inside of a circle. Thank you for watching this special Photoshop photography project video. Don't forget to subscribe so that you will get first notice of new project videos in the future. Just click on this link right here where it says subscribe here. You can get all 12 project videos in this series along with 26 special videos demonstrating the tools and techniques that I used in these projects by clicking on this link right down here. And then thank you again for watching this training video.